Okay. Wednesday? Man. Wednesday edition of Jibber Jabber. Wink with it tonight. Where'd they go? Weeks flying by. It just seemed like it was Monday. Just like 10 seconds ago now, so we're halfway through the week on a Wednesday. And it's, what is it? It's 49 degrees out there. It's been like hanging around 47, 49 all day. And, obviously the high for the day is just going to go southbound from here. 417-717-1454. That's how we do that. Also, of course, in the chat, go to netrootsradio.com. Scroll down the bottom of the page, and on the right-hand side of the bottom of the page, there is a link to the chat. So click that, join us there if you want to join us in the chat tonight. I think I still got some battery left. Yes. So we get there. Kind of rushing my way in here tonight, even though I had some free time tonight, but it just seems like there's just too many damn things going on. Too much paperwork. One of those deals. And, I'm not a big fan of that. Also on Skype, if you want to get us on Skype, it's netroots.radio. There's one way to do that. Do this real quick. Take care of that. Yeah, so you can get a chat that way. It's the easiest way to do it. Just go to our page. Eventually I'll get a link out here where you can actually click it. Take care of business that way. I haven't got that done yet, but eventually. Fundraising. Guess where we are in the mode of fundraising. We need about $4,000, give or take. But we'll handle the big stuff. We'll handle the big bucks if you guys can handle the little bucks. You can throw us $1 or $2 each month. That'd be great. Because that picks up some of the smaller stuff that we need to take care of as well, and we'll take care of the big payment stuff. But we need 2 computers. We need some software. The usual stuff. And so we're talking obviously some major bucks. We haven't upgraded equipment since 2012. I guess 2012 was the last time we upgraded our equipment. We need equipment. So help us out that way by tossing us $1 or $2, and you can go to the homepage for that right down there on the bottom of the page. On the left-hand side of the bottom of the page, there are 2 or 3 tabs you can click to make a $2, $1, $2, $3 payment, whatever you can do. $2 a month is great. That's like a cup of coffee. And it does help us out, believe it or not. Yes, all that stuff does help with all the other odds and ends that we have to take care of. We'll take care of the big stuff. You guys take care of the small stuff. It'll be much appreciated. Truly appreciate it. What else going on? I haven't really been anywhere too far. I've been kind of on the tubes today, but meta crap. I really haven't been anywhere to look at it. I gotta get this down to continue with you here at Dan. So pretty much where that's at. I look banging around the tubes, banging around, this whole Hillary thing is still out there. What was it, about 4 months, 5 months since November, I guess, something like that. Yeah, about 4 months. It's been about 5 months now since the election. And yeah, there's all kinds of elements that suggest that Hillary was hosed. No question about it. I don't deny that. The Russians did this, the Russians did that, and the Bernie bros held out, and blah, blah, blah. There was like 4 or 5. It was a perfect storm that nailed Hillary. It was just one of those events where everything came together, and all of a sudden Hillary, had nowhere to go. And they were talking about that with the book deal there, book thing on Williams, that Williams guy, on MSLSD, I think last night or the night before. And the 2 people that wrote that insider book on Hillary were saying as soon as Florida started coming in, as soon as the Florida results started coming in, which is pretty early on the East Coast, about 9 by 9:30 certainly they had Florida results, and they said the Hillary Clinton campaign was looking at Florida and said, "Oh my God, what the hell's going on with Florida?" And they said, "Well, if that stuff happens, it starts to happen in North Carolina and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and blah 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 blah. It's going to be a tough night." And as it turned out, they were right. It was a tough night, and like I say, a lot of things that kicked in to kick Hillary to the curb, more or less. But it was just, it has to be an incredible, perfect storm to beat somebody like that when your opposition is Donald H. Trump. I mean, come on, really, seriously. But here we are 5 months later, and it's all over the freaking tubes the last 3-4 days. Maybe because that book came out, I don't know. But I was looking at it, what the hell is all this about? So I kind of just chimed in, seeing if I could get some storm started again. Not that I care one way or the other. I really, at this point, certainly I don't care. But it would have been nicer if Hillary had won. That's for damn sure. But yeah, I'm really, no, I guess not. I guess I'm surprised a bit that the sentiment, of the Hillary camp still is just as, I guess, profound today as it was back in November. The day of the election night and the day after, where holy cow, I can't believe Hillary lost this thing. Well, here we are 5 months later, and people still cannot believe she lost it. It is. It's one of those things you just shake your head at and you go, how the hell did that happen? But a lot of it was on Hillary and her campaign, really, as much as anything else. And you can say, well, it was the Russian wink, it was the Russians, damn it. They did this with the machines, they did that, and they were, voter suppression and voter this and voter that and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there was some of that. There's no question. But it was also the fact that the Hillary campaign just seemed a little bit on the clueless side of how to run that campaign. It was just, they never had they rarely had their candidate out in some sort of function like Bernie was out. Bernie was out there at least once a day in a Trump speech somewhere, on campus somewhere, or whatever the hell it was. And oftentimes, twice a day, and occasionally 3 times a day. I remember when he did 3 events right here in New York State. Albany, Syracuse, and Buffalo in the same day. 3 stump speeches. And, and he had no chance in hell of winning New York State. I mean, Hillary was going to beat him by 10 at least, and she did, double digits easily. But there he was out there 3 times a day. Three stump speeches in the same freaking day. And where was Hillary? Hillary was back in Brooklyn or someplace, just, watching, I don't know what the hell they were doing. Whatever they were doing, they weren't doing it right. Let's put it that way. But Bernie, no question, Bernie gave it his all. And I think Team Hillary thought they had the thing won back in August. Right at the once she won the thing at the DNC in Philadelphia. Okay, this thing is over. We got this wrapped up. We don't have to do a damn thing. Hillary, take it easy. Take your shoes off. You ain't going nowhere. Nobody's going to vote for Trump. Quite obvious. Nobody's going to vote for the Trumpster. So lean back, kick back, and enjoy this thing, because this is all you, and, we're going to crown you in November. No question about it. But, it's sad, because obviously we want Hillary rather than Trumpster. Ain't no question about that. I mean, it's, 1 and 1 is 2. But I was just surprised that here we are 5 months later, and we're still involved like this. Like this thing happened yesterday, or last week, or the week, 2 weeks ago. 5 months out, and we're still saying, what the hell happened to Hillary here? How come she, why isn't she in the White House? So I found that kind of amazing. I just kind of picked on a couple people for that over the last 24 hours or so. Just to see if I could stir up some trouble as usual, and I got a couple things in there. But, I got my shots in, I guess they say, and it was just, like I said, just nonsense and foolishness anyway. I just wanted to see if I could cause trouble more than anything. But the other thing is, I don't know if the DNC has learned much from the 2016 campaign, because despite Bernie losing the primary by whatever it was, 3 million, 4 million votes, whatever it was, yeah, it was a lot closer than that. And had he won Iowa, the first caucus thing out there, and he lost by like 1%. Hillary beat Bernie like 50-49, something like that. Had he won that, he would have had the press behind him, and that would have changed the entire primary campaign. And Hillary would have been involved in an actual race. But it did turn out that way, and so that's how I go. That I mean, it was just that. That's how close that race was. As had Iowa swung to Bernie, had another 1 or 2% gone Bernie's way, and Bernie actually won Iowa, it would have been a totally different primary. And Hillary would have actually had them out there kicking ass. Well, she was kicking ass in the primary. Did well in the debates, yada yada yada. I mean, but I don't know what. Well, after Philly, after the convention, I don't know what the hell happened to that campaign, but they just ran a bad one. That's all. So they, as far as I'm concerned, they have as much to blame for them, for their loss as anything else. You can blame the Russians. You can blame the FBI with Comey coming out there 10 days before the election and saying, "Hey, we got some more email bullshit from the from the campaign there." Blah blah blah. Yeah, it certainly didn't help Hillary. But if people's minds aren't made up by then, I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't think there's anybody on the fence 10 days before an election. I think their minds are already made up who they're going to vote for, and I don't think that kind of news affects too many voters. It affects a few. But mostly they're all in with Hillary or not, one way or the other. It's just, that's the way that is. But yeah, like I said, here I am looking around the tubes and I'm saying Hillary. What the hell is all this stuff? We got all this stuff going on with the Donald H. Trump and all this stuff's coming out about the election 5 months ago. Anyway, that's my rant on that. I said, well, okay, let me chime in here with some of this stuff and see what I can find out. But it's fun for a day or two, whatever. But let's see Wednesday night. It 49 degrees, and that's not bad for this time of year, really, isn't it? I mean, it seems like I was just out there a couple hours ago. I go, wow, man, this ain't too bad out here tonight. That little drizzle. Get that drizzle this time of year because spring coming in. I did see that my hedgerow, such as it is, it's about 15 feet long, so it ain't much of a hedgerow, but I got one. It is starting to bloom, and I said, "Wow, man, this is kind of early, but okay." But in a month, it'll be full bloom in a month, or less, and actually May 10th. Usually May 12th. May 10, 11, or 12. That's the 3 days you got to choose from as far as when it's going to happen and when it goes peak, full bloom. And we're less than that away, so that's how that works. So, yeah, it was nice to see, except I said, okay, now I got to go out and trim the damn hedges, damn it, on top of mowing the damn lawn. Almost wish it was snow again. What the hell, man? Do I want to shovel or do I want to mow the lawn? I don't know. Don't want to do either, really. Unless I could. I'm not ready for a ride-on yet. But I could use one that's easier to move, I guess. I could get one of those self-propelled mowers. I guess I'd be in a better shape, I think. That's how that works. Let's see here. Here we go. Get over to the GOS. If I can find the tab, if I can find the damn tab. I'm looking. I got myself a 20, what is it, 28, 29, whatever the hell it is, 29 inch screen. Now I just got to get a computer. No, like I said, that's part of the. George, if you're listening tonight, just send us a check for $4,000, okay? And we'll call it even. You won't have to send us another check ever. Thank you. Pay for our hardware, equipment, blah, 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 blah. We're good to go. Because we need stuff, seriously. I'm running on a 2011 computer, and it's been running 24/7, 365 since 2011. Well, since 2012 when I actually got it. It was made in 2011, but I didn't get it till 2012. So there, And that's what you get for ordering off the Apple site. They'll give you, oh, let's see what we got lying around here for Winkster, because it's, it's 2012, but we're going to give them something from 2011. Screw it. So you pay top dollar for whatever they had out there, and all of a sudden you find out, even before you crank it up, it's a year old. You go, what the hell, man? This came across the wire tonight, was that Billow is not going to be at Fox News, which only means that he's going to be picked up by TYT, the Young Turks, or somebody else will pick him up. Somebody will pick him up, that's for sure. He's not going to be out there he's not going to be out there on the streets very long. Let's put it that way. Somebody will pick him up. They don't care if he's a womanizer. They don't care if he grabs snatch or not. It doesn't matter to them. Just as if he can get the ratings in there and get the advertising dollars, that's all they care about. Hunter on the front page of the GWS Open Threat for Night Owls. Goodbye, Billow. See you around the old falafel stand. Yeah. Is that how you say it? No, falafel? Is that it? Falafel? I guess that's it. I don't know. I don't even know what the hell that is. We must... I've seen the word many times, but whatever the hell it is, I have no idea. We must now say goodbye to Mr. Falafel himself, or Falafel, the man who vowed to do it live. Man, it was forever being surprised by how other people ordered their iced tea. I don't know, how do you order iced tea? I order iced tea. Say, throw a slice of lemon in there or something. What else do you need except for, a lemon drop, or what the hell? The perv with the nerve, the foxes, hostess with the mostest, now it's the toastest, Mr. Billow O'Reilly. Yeah. I don't know. I think, how long has he been on Fox News? 20 years or close to it? 15? Certainly 15 years, certainly. That many, at least. Probably closer to 20. And you know how many minutes I've seen of the Billow show? About 5. About 5 minutes, collectively, over the last 15, 20 years. That's it. And that's via flipping through the channels. Oh, Billow's on. Oh, yeah, okay, I ain't watching that crap. Never saw any of it. And I don't think I missed a damn thing, to be honest with you. So there's that. I guess the Fox crowd loves him. I guess he beats up on liberals or whatever, but I never watched the guy. The guy just, whatever. Tweet of the day, Serena Williams won a Grand Slam while she was pregnant, so every man should probably shut up about everything forever. Yeah, there you go. I guess so, yeah, I guess that would do it. Especially if she was like 6, 7, 8 months, If she was like 6, 7, 8 months and out there in the Grand Slam, I think I would just shut up. I wouldn't say another word for the rest of my life. Forget about it. There's no. Yeah, that's it. You can't say nothing. You're done. If somebody's out there 6, 7, 8 months pregnant, winning the Grand Slam, I got nothing. After that. I'll turn this down just like Kitty Whisker. Where are we here? Okay. That must be it. There we go. That's what it is right there. I knew I missed one. Okay. There we go. That's better. All right. Now I can actually hear what's going on. Perfect. Hopefully I got those shut. Yeah, I do. Okay. We're good. That'll work. Yeah. What else? Get over here to the Geo somewhere. Where now I lost my freaking tabs. There we go. Hunter, we must say goodbye to Mr. Falafel himself, who vowed to do it live. The man who was forever being surprised by how other people ordered their iced tea. The perv with the nerve. The fox hostess with the mostest. Now the toastest. That was quick. That was kind of a quick... Hunter with a quick post there, that's all. And, man. I thought he had something else besides that, but I guess he doesn't. Okay, so that's it. He's done for the night. Okay. Takes care of that. The Kansas 06 thing last night. Or Kansas 06, the Georgia 06. Went pretty well, just not quite well enough. I think the Democrat got 49%. Olaf, what is it? Olaf? Something like that. I don't know. Somebody said he's a Republican. He's actually a Republican, running as a Democrat. I don't know. I don't know nothing about the guy except he's running as a D. That's all I know. But we get the same thing up here. Like I said, once or twice at least. In 2014 we had a Republican running as a Democrat. Because no Democrat up here would run, damn it. The bastards. And everybody asked me to run. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. I'll help somebody win, or help somebody lose, but I'm not going to be the top of the, I'm not going to be the candidate. I'll be the guy behind the scenes. Thank you very much. Not that I have any trouble speaking in public or blah, 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 blah. I've done live TV. Sad as it was, I've done it. But it's just, it's just too much of it. I wouldn't last 2 seconds. Guys could eat me up big time. We just wouldn't have it. But yeah, I can help out big time. I can do all the legwork, all that good stuff. Phone banking. I'm not a big fan of phone banking, but I'll do it for an hour. Call about 10 people in an hour, and it's okay. That's enough of that nonsense. Get me out there banging on doors. Where's the caveman? But yeah, well, no problem doing the behind the scenes stuff at all. I don't even see that on there for the Georgia 06 race. It was like it didn't happen at all, I guess, on Daily Kos. Or unless maybe it just happened earlier in the day. I don't know. I guess that's it. Because I didn't see any returns. I was looking for returns all day. I looked at it over CNN. They didn't have nothing. They said we're guessing or we're anticipating that there'll be a runoff. We don't really know that if Olafov or whatever his name is polled 50% or didn't poll 50%. It was close. But we suspect he didn't get it. Blah, 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 blah. But I haven't seen anything official that says he did or didn't. Yeah, there's a couple of... these guys are Nazi right through and through. I will get to that story later on, but that's Bannon. Yeah, what the hell is his name? Bannon. From Breitbart. And who's the other guy? Who's that guy that looks like he's right out of freaking Hitler's top 5? Looks like he's right out of Hitler's top 5 World War II with Nazis. I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head. I can't see it either. No, we'll get to it. But yeah, no, he's the guy that said, yeah, I'm all in for the Trumpster, and the Trumpster's going to kick your people's asses. He said that like 2 days after the inauguration. I think a week or two at the most after the inauguration. Yes, that's right. The Trumpster did that, and he's going to do a hell of a lot more to you people. You people better get ready to get killed. Yeah, Miller. Yeah, Miller. That's it. That's the guy. Thanks, Yuri. That guy looks about as Nazi as he can possibly look. That son of a bitch. Oh, man. Yeah, Serena Williams won a Grand Slam while she was 6 months pregnant. So every man should probably just shut up right now. Just forget about it. I agree. I totally agree with that. Man, I got nothing after that. And nobody else does either. I don't care what you did, what you accomplished. Chief RNC digital strategist, $1 million racket. Direct all party business to your own company. Chief RNC digital strategist, $1 million racket. Direct all party business to your own company. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Not a bad idea. Garrett Lansing, Republican National Committee digital director, says just direct all incoming White House business right to your own business, right to your own company. Don't worry about it. Man, oh man, seriously. One of the coolest millions you could ever make is found. Yeah, great. Okay. And, there we go. Do that. One of the coolest millions you could ever make is to found a political company, then get a prime RNC post and direct all the party's candidates to use the services of the business you founded. You cannot beat that. Nice work if you can get it. If you can stomach working for the Republican Party, that is, and we assume you can. and you'd be right about that. That would, of course, would be Carrie Eleveld here on the front page. I couldn't do it. I just can't. Nah, there's no way in hell I could work for the Republican Party. But it sure wasn't a problem for Garrett Lansing, co-founder of the political donations company Rev, R-E-V-V, then chief RNC digital strategist, followed by a short-lived stint or a short-lived stint in Trump's White House. Right, Shane Goldmacher. Another Nazi probably. The Republican Party's top digital strategist in 2016 got a nearly $1 million payout from a firm he co-founded that collected online contributions to the party and its nominee Donald H. Trump, despite earlier claims that the strategist had severed his ties to the company. Republican operatives representing multiple GOP presidential and Senate campaigns said that Lansing pushed them to use the company he co-founded to collect their online donations after he was hired for the top RNC job, and that he used the fact that the RNC was using his platform as a selling point. Lansing was subsequently named to a top role in the Trump White House until he subsequently was not. Yeah, there you go. Bonus round, Spicy floated some alternative facts about the relationship. The controversy puts the White House press secretary Sean Spicer in an awkward spot as the RNC's chief strategist. Spicer denied to Political in mid-2016 that Lansing had any financial stake in Rev. He had zero connection to Rev, Spicer said then. He had to sever the ties. In fact, Lansing never did. He received a $900,000 payout from the company last year. Statement that was issued last year was based on information provided by Garrett, Spicer told Politico this week. That's got to be somewhere around 5% of the take, I would think. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But 5% of the take isn't too bad, I guess. I don't know. Is that too much? Is it too little? I don't know. But to me, it seems like if you're interested in building the Republican Party and get it, providing the method to get funds in there, and your take shouldn't be more than 2%, I wouldn't think. And that goes for charities and yada yada, whatever the hell you're doing, whatever you're raking in. I think 2% would pay for most of what you do to do that. So, I could be wrong, but I think that's probably right. But to come up with $900,000 as his take in the operation, that's not bad if he can do it, I guess. Lansing left the White House in early February because he refused to sell his share in the company, which presented a significant conflict of interest. Yeah, you think? Perhaps when Kellyanne Conway's White House shopping network got panned, Lansing feared the post wasn't worth the headache. And, I think Kellyanne Conway had something there, the White House shopping network. I mean, you could have a little corner of the White House with all, your utensils and your kitchen appliances and this, that, and the other thing. And I think you could do pretty good there, You got all these, baking equipment, and all these fancy gizmos they got out today to cook food. $100 a whack. I think the White House shopping network could have done pretty good business. But I guess they looked at Kellyanne Conway like she was from frickin' Mars or someplace and said, no, we're not gonna run a shopping network out of the White House. Well, they run a lot of things out of the White House, but a shopping network was not going to be one of them. Well, number one, it's too above board. That's one of the other problems with that. They couldn't make enough money on it, so it's because it's too legit. During the election, many GOP campaign operatives felt pressured to use Rev based on Lansing's dual roles. Some openly questioned the optics of being the RNC's chief digital strategist while continuing to pitch your own company as a campaign tool. Yeah, I would think, yeah. Oh, and by the way, we have our own fundraising thing here, so you can take part of that. We only grab 2% of the gross, so don't worry about it. 98% of this stuff goes directly to your campaign. If only, yeah. I asked Garrett if the RNC was okay with him pitching a product, his own he owns and running the business while holding a senior position there. And I noted how bad that looked. Yeah, yeah. Oh no, let me do this. There we go. Fiorina strategist Ron Stetzlow recalled he said he had negotiated a deal and had permission, alluding to the fact the RNC had difficulty finding qualified candidates for the role. So essentially, their competitive advantage was the conflict of interest itself. I was really bothered by the audacity of that. Yeah, it is a little bit on the audacity side. I asked what their plan was to grow that user base fast enough to be valuable in the current election cycle. Stetzlow said of his meeting with Lansing and another Rev co-founder. Their answer was their relationships at the RNC and the NRCC, and that the RNC would be switching to Rev very soon, bringing all of those donors into the platform, or onto the platform, I should say. It seems the RNC's digital depth was of the kiddie pool variety, so they cut some corners. Sounds fishy, spicy, and rents previous, yeah. But yeah, it's something you expect from the Republicans. There's no question about that. It's what they do, pretty much. Certainly, it's not out of the bounds of what the Donald would do if he could get away with it. That's for damn sure. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Joe McCarter on the front page. Insurers have no problem continuing their commitment to Obamacare unless, of course, Trump blows it up. And Joe McCarter on the front page, but no, I mean the insurance companies are making out like a bandit, so I don't know why they would even think about abandoning Obamacare. It's been good, very good to them. A new survey from Oliver Wyman Health, a health industry consulting organization, finds that most insurers remain committed to the ACA exchanges, but with some adjustments in strategy and continued watchfulness. In other words, no death spiral yet. Yeah, and there's no reason for it to be a death spiral, really, at this point. The survey, along with our continued conversations with the market, reveals that payers are approaching 2018 cautiously, yet the vast majority of those surveyed intend to stay. Just one respondent in our survey said it plans to exit the exchanges. However, we note that payers may withdraw from the market at any time prior to the final agreements with the public exchanges, and new information or policy developments could change their assessment of the situation. Yeah. Of the payers surveyed that intend to participate in 2018, 70% are carrying on as is with no majority shift in strategy. With no major shift in strategy. The other 30% are adjusting and pulling the levers they can to stabilize their ACA lines of business. The ACA lines of strategic recalibrations include changing the number of plans offered, eliminating gold-level plans, for example, or shifting to plans with tighter controls, such as narrower network plans on or HMOs. Now, that's the only thing that pissed me off about the whole ACA thing was these levels of plan. The only difference I saw in the plans, there wasn't much difference in coverage per se. Big difference was in premium versus what they take off the top there, whatever the hell. What is that? So if you've got a deductible, that's the word I'm looking for. If you've got, like one plan had a $5,000 deductible, and the other plan had a $10,000 deductible. If you went with a $10,000 deductible, you probably had a little bit lower premium than the $5,000 deductible. That's all. But other than that, there wasn't that whole lot of big difference between the plans as far as coverage goes, because you were getting very similar coverage, just depending which way you want to pay for it. Do you want to pay for it up front with the deductible part of it? Say, okay, I got a $10,000 deductible. There's your $10,000 right there. Now I'll give me my $250 a month premium. Damn it, and that's all I want to pay. Take that. Or you could go with a lower deductible, $5,000 a year deductible, and then still pay $500, $600 a month for your premium every month. So I mean, either way, you were paying a lot of money. Is the way I looked at it. Some people, I guess, got a little bit different coverage than that, but I had mine was pretty heavy duty. Mine was, I thought, expensive, at least as expensive as it was before the Affordable Care Act. Angie joins us in the chat room. She can get on here too. If she wants to get on for a minute, get on. I'll let you on her. Angie, if you want to get on, just let me know. I'll get you on here for a few minutes. You don't have to stay on for, half hour or whatever. Just want to just say hi for 10 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes. That's great. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. So, I think we're going to be okay for the ACA for the time being. It's just how it shakes out when the Trumpster gets a hold of it, I guess. The payers surveyed that intended to participate in 2018, 70%. Okay. I'll give you a call. It's easier for me to call you than for you to call me. So I'll call you. Give me a minute or so. The other 30% are adjusting and pulling levers that can to stabilize the ACA lines of business. Strategic recalibrations include changing the number of plans offered. Blah 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 blah. For example, or shifting to plans with tighter controls, such as narrower network plans or HMO. So it depends on what's going on there. All the plans are a little bit different, but it is what it is, I guess. Let me try this real quick if I can find something. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, we'll try this. We'll see if I can do it. See if this works. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but anyway, call in and see if this. Sometimes Skype works, sometimes it doesn't work. It just depends on what you get. That's a one ringy dingy kind of thing.
Hello?
Angie in Washington State. How are you doing?
Let me just turn down the volume here.
All right, I got to turn something down too. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. Now we got you. Let me do this too.
Usually by this time on Wednesday, I'm dead asleep.
Yeah, I hear you. I know that feeling. No question about that. We got to do this too. There we go. Well, maybe if this thing wants to cooperate. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay, we're good. We're good. I guess we're connected. Try that, and we'll try that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know it's kind of late. But it is what it is, I guess, as far as that part of it goes. But just going down through the list of some of the coast stories, because they usually provide because I'm just getting to them myself. It's the first time I've read them myself too, so I figure if I can kind of provide it a little on the fresh side of for some people out there. Anyway, that's all. What's going on out there on the West Coast? Did we lose you? No, we didn't. I don't think. Okay, we got you. We got you. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Raining?
Yeah, I can't use the Skype, but I created a password and account to do a Skype interview when I was running for Congress in 2015, and I saved a picture of the page with the password. So each time I try to go into Skype to do Skype with you guys on Wednesday mornings, it says somebody else owns that account. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm locked out of Skype now because I just have one email address.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and Skype bumps up my microphone, too, half the time, so I can't even freaking, I don't know what I'm doing here either. I mean, Skype is just it's a tragedy most of the time.
It's chat with video.
Yeah. Eventually we'll have a studio. I don't know where, maybe in St. Louis or somewhere. I don't know. Maybe we'll get to that point where we get our own studio so that we don't have to, have all these challenges. But for the time being, it's a lot of juggling to get it to work. But it's all right. We've been doing it for 5-6 years, so it's not like it's new. It's just a matter finding the right buttons and knobs as usual. But yep.
Right, buttons and knobs.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the old days when I was a kid. My mother was part of the original blogger crowd, which was the people on the CB radios whose spouses were long-haul truckers.
Yeah.
And who decided to take their radio friends home with them. My mother mounted a 40-foot tall, power-generated, movable metal antenna tower for her CB radio that was so strong, 6 and 8 houses down the street from us would come knocking on the door and complain because my mother's CB radio conversations were coming over their television.
Wow. Well, that's some amperage right there, man. Yeah, that's cranking out some.
That's the 1970s.
Yeah, if your TV set's picking it up, that's just a little on the strange side, but it's powerful. That's definitely powerful there. I suppose it could happen, no question about it. It's interesting that the tech has moved maybe to computers over the last 15, 20 years, but it's essentially the same. So you just got to find the right buttons and knobs to push to get stuff to work. But oh man, it's fun anyway. It's a good time had by all usually. Oh, okay, hang on there. I got to do this too. I got to do. We're going to bring in Yuri too here for a second. I just got to add him if I can find him. Otherwise, we'll. Where are you here? Holy cow, man! How many we got here? Oh, there we go. Figured it'd be last on the list. Okay. Oh my God, and we're getting more and more. And our contact list for Networks Radio seems like a mile long now. I don't know. It just keeps growing and growing. Yuri from Canada joins us tonight on Networks Radio. How's Yuri doing tonight? Oh, he might not be set up yet. He might still have to be filling in with the buttons and knobs too.
Hey, Wink, I have the buttons and knobs working, I think.
Yeah, you do. Yep.
I'd like to say Breaker 1-4.
Yeah.
Breaker 1-4.
Exactly.
What's your 1020?
There you go.
CQDX.
We got Angie in Washington State with us as well tonight. So.
Yeah, I heard her. And I had a quarter wave antenna mounted in my parents' attic when I was a teenager. And I imagine your husband or whoever you were talking about, I'm not quite sure, probably had a full wave antenna, like a really nice big one. One that I craved for many years.
Yeah, it was 40 feet tall, and it had 3 or 4 different layers of vanes pointed out on the cardinal points, right? So it was huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I got some
across
funny...
the Pacific Ocean and all kinds of crazy places.
Yeah, me too. You bounce them off the clouds, and you're talking to someone in Japan. Yeah.
They called that the skip back in the day.
Yeah. By the way, so at the time I was like 11, 12, and my voice had not deepened yet. And everybody asked me if I was a YL. And for the longest time, I didn't know what a YL was. And a YL was a young lady. All the truckers thought I was a young woman.
Yeah, what's your phone number, damn it?
An intelligent young woman.
Even the acronym lingo, the people on the CDs invented that acronym lingo way before internet chat rooms ever happened.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Man.
Yep.
Oh, this was like CB talk is like predates internet relay chat.
Yeah.
And internet relay chat has, it evolved the concept of LOL, ROFL, BIAB, all those acronyms that they have there. And it actually all originated with CB chatter. And in CB chatter, there's code names for everything, like shortcuts for everything. So like, hey, I'll be back with you in a second. I got to take a 1099.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
A 1099 is a bathroom break.
Bathroom break, yep. And just, they had every kind of thing you could think of. It was either a number or a series of letters, numbers, whatever. Yeah, just acronyms of some sort.
They had coded talk, too, so that the truck drivers and their cohorts in the passenger seat with them in the cab, their other driver or their spouse or whatever. They had developed coded language because while they're on the freeways going north and south and east and west, and they would pass a police officer hiding behind a billboard or something, they would let the people behind them 10 miles back on the freeway know. So they developed code words talking about where somebody was and what 2 was and 5 was. And it was just crazy, but...
And to alert other drivers as to blockages in traffic and rerouting and technical aspects of getting where you need to be.
All kinds of stuff, yeah. Those are the days.
Yes.
Yeah. I lived that whole CB radio existence when I was a teenager. That was like my dream. I was also studying Morse code at the time.
We probably are of a similar age then. There's not too many people left that remember those days.
Yeah. No, yeah, we're old. All of us are old here. Well, Yuri's one of the younger people on Netroots Radio, but we're all, north of 40. Let's put it that way. And
I passed 50. I passed
40
50.
in a long time.
I passed 50 this last year, so I'm relatively young.
Yeah,
I think.
I am definitely over the hill. I'm going to hit 56 in August. That makes me closer to
No,
than
60 is the hill, man.
Yeah, it is. 60 is the new 50. I think you're right. Mitch. Yeah, 60 is the new 50 without a doubt. Yep, I agree. Yeah.
Well, I had a heart attack when I was 49, so when people ask me every time I go out, they say, "How are you today?" And I say, "I'm not dead yet." And they all look at me funny that every day is an extra day for me.
Yeah, well, I have a similar thing here in Canada when people say, "Hey, buddy, what's up?" And I say, "Oh, my cholesterol level." And then they look at me and they like, geez, did I touch a nerve?
Indeed.
No, it's because most people, when they say, "How are you?" they don't really mean "How are you?" They just mean "hello." They don't expect you to really tell them how you are. It's just a polite greeting, right?
Yeah, it's a greeting.
I take it at face value. I tell them how I are.
Yeah. Yes, that's the way to do it.
So anyway, Angie, I recognize your nick. I've actually read a lot of your posts over the years.
I've written a lot of junk.
No, it's actually pretty good.
Haven't we all?
No, lots of people don't write anything at all.
I'll
go, I've been on Daily Kos for so long that I'll go a couple of years and I won't see anybody. Then I'll see them back again and people will be talking to them like they're just new arrivals or whatever. But I recognize people who, every once in a while when they make some interesting post and I hover over their name and I see how long ago they joined Daily Kos and I think, how can this person have been around so long and I don't recognize that name? Because for lots of years I've been on every single day.
Right.
Yeah.
A couple of hours each day, right? So I'll go look and I'll see they only made like 800 comments in a decade. But so some people just read and they don't really write.
Right.
But I don't understand the point of that. They could be reading the Washington Post if they just want to read information. Daily Kos is for having a conversation.
It is. I agree.
That's why it survived all these years, because it's not about the politics or anything else. It's about the conversation.
Yeah, you want the back and forth.
Sometimes the conversation goes loony-toony, but, still.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of people crank out stuff every, 3 or 4 times a week, and some people don't, like I said, don't crank anything out at all. So, yeah.
Well, for me, I've been kind of inactive the last 2 years because I've been absorbed with personal matters. But I did join in 2005, and I published 137 diaries, and I posted 7,600 plus comments, and I recommended 26,300 plus comments.
I don't know what my stats are. I don't really look. I just know
you made me. You made me check my own profile out. I just figured out, what my stats are.
Right.
Now I'm going to have to go look because I got to see what mine are now.
It'll probably horrify you.
All the wrecks and all that stuff. Yeah.
Holy moly! 429 stories, 26,000 plus comments.
Yeah.
Where does it say how many I've recommended 18,000 plus.
At 26,000, that's at least one a day right there.
I've got you beaten on recommendations. I have more recommendations than you.
Comment ratings. Holy moly.
Oh, really? Oh, no, you beat me. Never mind.
Yeah, but I've been unemployed quite a bit for a number of years, and before that I was part-time employed or self-employed, looking for part-time work forever, and I was always on Daily Coast yakking to people.
Well, Coast is just a good place for just information, really. I mean, you get a bunch,
actually,
not just politics either. You get a bunch of different information. So I mean,
Well, actually, I have to say it's a little harder to discern now, but in the early days, it was easy to spot the people that were informative, and it was actually easier to pick an audience and who to write for. And nowadays, it's kind of hard to know who to write for.
Well, we're kind of like reality TV, Dancing with the Stars, ballroom.
Yeah, too much success, and then you overdo it. Yeah.
It's not really that. It's that in 2015, when Marcos and the staff decided they were going to try to move to the next level of ranking for internet sites like Daily Coast.
Right.
And they opened the floodgates and sent out those invitations. Every time they put up a petition somewhere, people had been putting their email addresses in them. They went on a massive campaign to draw people into Daily Coast. They sent emails to them and said, "You signed our petition. Come and join the community and add your voice to the great conversation." But and they came in by the bazillions in the middle of the presidential cycle, and lots of them had been like at Yahoo News or
right.
On the Hill or all over the place in Reddit, and having the kind of comments wars that are common on internet sites. And before that, for a very long time, Daily Coast had a different kind of standard because the community really did moderate things. When
that's right,
lunatics showed up and started ranting and telling outright lies and throwing out homonyms, people would just rate them out of existence.
So Coast should do membership drives when there isn't active elections going on. And now is a good time for it. And then that way you've got a solid community when the elections happen.
The other thing you should do is post a regular welcome new users diary on the bloody front page.
Yeah, we used to have that. Right.
Yeah.
I used
you
to
see it once in a while, but not like it used to be. You see it more often.
That was the version 3.0. It had that window box in the top right corner. Yep. There was a link to the old FAQ in there. It was a lot more user-friendly back in the day. Now we're kind of halfway between a blog and a portal.
I would like to bring up a semi-controversial topic, and that is the topic of Pumas, Clintonistas, Bernie Bros, and the fight between the Clintonistas and the Bernie Bros.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what a waste of air. Holy shit.
Yeah, still going on.
I'm so frustrated by this. It drives me insane.
I don't know I just noticed the last couple of days it kind of heated back up again. I go, I thought this was put to bed, but apparently not, I guess, yeah. So there still is some,
I would tell you guys that I think it's just a passing fad and it's going to fade away, but I don't know about the two of you, but I'm involved in my local Democratic Party activities locally, right? I attend meetings, I go to events, I'm campaign manager for a House candidate.
Congrats to you.
These people that were in the very, really, really strong Bernie worshiper kind of supporters, those people, they're all under 35. A lot of them never ever were in politics before 2015.
Right.
2016.
They're new to the whole game.
Right, and now a lot of them are on the e-boards of our LDs and our county party, right? They've moved in, they've kind of occupied the local party to a certain extent, and they are the same way. They get just wound up like you wouldn't believe over something that somebody says about Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. Now, some of these people were really super for Bernie. Some of them were really super for Hillary, but they just cannot seem to let it go. And it's in real world. It's on the internet. It's on the papers. I don't understand this. I've seen lots of presidential cycles. I've seen people really invested in candidates before. Do you remember Howard Dean?
Yep.
Yes. My God.
I was a Deaniac. I was one of the Dean people. Yep.
Actually, Howard
Dean. Yes, I was one of them too. But
Howard Dean is the way I found Daily Coast.
Really.
Yep.
Howard Dean was the reason I joined Daily Kos.
Yeah, same here. Same reason here.
Angered
Me
me
too.
so much that I was like, wait a second, got to set the record straight.
Yep.
Ron K in Seattle. Do you guys recognize that name, username?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I know it.
Yeah. Okay, so he's still a user, and he's on once in a great while. I see him post a comment or something. But he was on the Blog for America during the Dean campaign's active early
I
first
remember
year.
that.
And he posted something about Daily Kos, and that's how I found Daily Kos, and that was
That's how I found it as well. Yep.
before we got user numbers. That was when you decided you gave yourself whatever name you wanted that day.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's back when you were arguing
2004,
with
2005,
Meteor Blades and, Steve, God, what's his name? The
Steve
brilliant,
Gilliard.
yeah, the brilliant military historian, Steve Gilliard. Also brilliant man.
Yeah.
Like, I've read his posts.
That was the heady days, no doubt.
I have read his posts over and over, like probably 5 times, and he's timeless. That guy is brilliant beyond belief.
My favorite post of his is "I'm a fighting liberal." He wrote in December of 2003, and it is as true today as it was then.
Yeah.
The closing line says the Republicans don't want to negotiate. They want to win at any cost. So you can either, bite the bullet and just die quietly, or you can go out fighting. And he says, I'm a fighting liberal.
Yep.
I know what I am. What are you?
Right.
Yeah, well, he was right about so many things. He was 100% right about the Iraq War. He knew that better than anybody. He knew the quagmire that George W. Bush was stepping his foot into the big pile of shit.
Yep.
He understood all of that deeply. And he explained it, and very few people listened. Like, only at that time, there was a relatively small audience.
Right, it was, yep.
It was, the few thousand people that were on Daily Kos in the spring of 2003, when the U.S. was invading Iraq, we all knew it was nonsense and BS. We knew it. We didn't just think it. We knew it.
Oh, yes. I was there.
When Colin Powell went to the UN, we had already seen the reports out from the international inspectors, the IEAE inspectors, and the information about the yellow cake and uranium being bogus, and that those aluminum tubes were not for enriching uranium. And then after that, Colin Powell went to the UN, knowing the same thing we knew, and he told the world a complete and utter lie. If he had had the nerve to resign his post and publicly tell the world that was a crock, that Bush and Cheney all knew that those aluminum tubes were a crock, that it was a lie.
At the time, Colin Powell...
He could have changed the history of the entire world at that point.
Yes, but at that time, Colin Powell was a general that was his job and his life security depended upon the upper echelon.
Secretary of Defense at that point.
Yes, right. So his job, life security, depended upon the president. The president asked him to come up with an explanation for this, and then he went up with cartoon explanations of mobile weapons labs. I looked at them and I laughed, and I'm a biochemist.
Yep.
And I looked at them.
Well, he was well respected as a general as well. I mean, he wasn't one of these generals that everybody points to, get out of here. But he was respected at the time.
He states himself in his own autobiography that was the greatest mistake in his life.
Yep.
He could have been recorded as one of the greatest American heroes of all time.
Yeah, that's a tragedy. Oh, my God.
It is a tragedy.
Well, he wasn't alone. He wasn't the only one that got us into that quagmire.
And
but
he's actually still a good man because he's owned up to his own errors.
Right. But
he made errors, and he made mistakes, and he's an older man now that is like, God damn it, I wish I hadn't been looped into that goddamn bullshit.
Yep.
That's his kind of attitude towards it.
Yeah.
A lot of things were going on back then. The whole Valerie Plame thing was going on. I mean, there was a lot of, it was just...
Valerie Plame thing. Oh, my God.
Just seemed like one thing after another,
Why? is nobody in jail from the financial crisis? Why is nobody in jail from the Valerie Plame leak? Why?
Yeah, nobody went to jail over any of this stuff. Nobody went to jail over any of it.
In 2004, when Nancy Pelosi became Speaker of the House and took the Speaker's position away from the Republicans in the middle of George Bush's presidency, she said, we're taking impeachment off the table.
Yeah.
That was the start of it.
Right. She didn't say we're going nuclear.
They lied us into war and violated their oaths of office.
And
Bush
she didn't go
and the
nuclear.
cabal, and it was the start of everything bad. When she said the nation should just look forward and pretend like evil didn't happen while we all watched.
Yeah, exactly.
That, for me, that is the moment. And I hate to say that it's a Democrat who's at fault for that, but you know what? In my grandparents' day, they hung Germans for doing what our CIA did to people in secret black prisons in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Waterboarding them.
Yep.
So wait a second.
They convicted Germans and Japanese soldiers of torture, and they were executed because of it. That's what my grandparents' generation did after wars were over for people that committed war crimes.
Okay.
Right?
So can you explain to me your attitude towards Nancy Pelosi? Because, I mostly admire her, and I know she hasn't been perfect, and I know that political fights are nasty as hell. You're
right. She was a very effective Speaker of the House for the Democratic Party. I'm not begrudging her any honors for all of the efforts that she did. I mean, she passed a lot of legislation that I don't think anybody else in the world could have passed.
Yeah, she got a lot done.
Without her shepherding it through Congress, wouldn't have happened.
In the last 15, 20 years, Nancy Pelosi is the central character of any piece of legislation that actually happened.
Pretty much, yeah.
But for me, the direction of the country changed when she said, now that I'm the Speaker of the House and I have the gavel and impeachments start in the House, there will be none of that talk. It doesn't matter what happened. Move on.
Well, she set the tone for this Trump thing, too, because I don't think it's going to happen in the Trumpville either.
So what she's saying is that erasing the crimes of the past is basically a bad idea, because you have to recognize the crimes of your past in order to move beyond them.
I would say
is that semi-accurate?
Yeah, it is accurate. Yeah.
Angie, is that semi-accurate?
Well, crimes of a nation and crimes of an individual are different kinds of critters, right? They're not the same thing. I mean, Americans look back at World War II as a shining moment in our history when America saved Europe from Hitler and fascism, and we were the heroes.
Now, I hate to say it, but Russia saved America. We're the only country
well, there is a very good argument to be had on that front, but I'm saying from the American perspective.
Yeah,
we look back at World War II and see us as heroes in that era, right? We're the only country in the world that has ever dropped nuclear weapons on people during wartime.
Mm-hmm.
People have had nuclear weapons now for coming up on almost a century. And we're the only ones that have ever used them. And we're the ones who are the most belligerent around the world talking about other people who want to have them.
Yeah, America talks a lot of smack. Holy crap.
Oh, it does, yeah. It does. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're right about Russia. I mean, if the Russians hadn't... which town did they left a deserted town for the German army?
Stalingrad was the major
Stalingrad
battle
or Leningrad,
where millions of people died.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 million people, I think.
Large numbers, yeah.
Numbers.
Yeah, it was horrific.
Well, Hitler got busy with that Eastern Front versus Russia, and that killed him, really. That kind of, I mean...
if Hitler
the left
had
and Western
not,
Front, kind of,
So Hitler had a pact with Russia.
Yeah.
And
they lost all
he violated
they couldn't bring them back.
He violated the pact and attacked Russia. And that led to 20 million Russians dead and Hitler losing. And frankly, that is what won the war.
It did, no question. They got bogged down on the Eastern Front versus Russia.
I bet you that it shortened World War II by about 15 years, too. Because if the Russians hadn't depleted, the German army left a boatload of tanks on the trip back from Russia. They took a bunch of tanks with them, and they couldn't bring them back. They got stuck everywhere.
Hey, look, this is an absolutely classic history exercise. So, have you ever studied Napoleon's excursion into Russia when he brought 50,000 men into Russia and he moved forward and attacked in towards Moscow? And the Russians basically let him move in deeper and deeper and deeper. And then they burned all of the fields behind him, all of the towns around him, and they waited for him to die in the Russian winter. And he died there, and he returned home with 1/10 of the military that he arrived with, completely defeated.
Oh, yeah, no question.
That ruined Napoleon. That's a standard Russian technique. Come on.
Well, that's because the Russians have been invaded for over 1,200 years.
Yes, right. So they're like, we know how to lure you in, cut you off, shut you off, and kill you.
Right? The Tartars,
the country's so huge. That's the thing.
Genghis Khan.
Yeah, it goes back to Genghis Khan. Yeah. Now, Genghis Khan's kind of a different guy because he was the only ruler that conquered places and basically said, oh, you can believe whatever you want as long as you serve me.
There you go.
Yeah, Genghis Khan conquered more territory than any other person in the history of history.
And the reason he was so
successful, Poland.
The reason he was so successful is that he did not demand worship.
No, just tribute.
Tribute and worship whoever you want.
Right.
Yeah. They didn't try to assimilate people. The Romans tried to assimilate everybody into the Roman way of life.
So let me tell you the key difference between Canada and America. And by the way, I live in Canada, but I also lived in the U.S. for 20 plus years, but that was in the past. Anyway.
You don't have a Second Amendment.
No, let me explain this concept. The difference between Canada and America is that in Canada, multiculturalism is celebrated, and in America, it's a melting pot. That's the fundamental difference between the two countries.
I don't know. That used to be true in America. It's not so true today. Newer waves of immigrants tend to keep their social identity in this country anymore. Don't you think so?
No, I believe that America is firmly established along the lines of act according to our ways, as opposed to whatever you have experienced and known before, or your connections in this country do not, upset our power.
Well, I think that's still true for a lot of people of a certain age, but it's not true for everybody anymore. And I think that is part of what's leading to a lot of this identity politics problems that we're seeing that are racially motivated around the country.
The last 10, 15, 20 years, Mexicans want to be Mexicans, that kind of thing, yeah.
Well, and isolated by their religion, too. The Mormons.
Yeah, a lot of people not learning the English language, they stick to their own language, that kind of thing. There are pockets of that now where you...
wait a second.
Around the Great Lakes, there's a lot of people that are of Muslim descent that have immigrated to that area.
If you're going to raise the Mormons into this fucking deal, I'd have to raise you one up with Scientology.
There you go, yeah.
Oh, but they're everywhere because they're Hollywood people. They got a lot of money. They're in Idaho and Montana and Louisiana.
They are a cult. They are insane.
Oh, I agree with you. They're a cult. Absolutely. I've been an atheist most of my life, and to me, most organized religions look like cults.
I have, by the way, disclaimer to all listeners, I am an atheist, true and true, so I cannot, argue on the other end of the stick.
Right. But it's true. Angie's right in the fact that the last 10, 15, 20 years, people are tending to stick to their own and, screw America as far as the whole 200-year blah, blah, blah has been. And they stick to their own kind of traditions and yada, yada. And they're not all that concerned about assimilating as they did maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago or 100 years ago, certainly.
By the way, I would also like to add by the way, this is something that's really fascinating to me because I get attacked on the internet because I even mention this ever. I've only mentioned it like once or twice. Every time I've mentioned it, I've been attacked. And that is the fact that I'm a white man with a black wife.
Right.
And every time I mention it, I am attacked as like, oh, you're just trying to pretend that you're friendly, blah, blah, blah. We don't believe your bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Oh, my God. It goes on endlessly.
I don't understand people like that. I just don't. I don't get it. Race is a made-up thing. It's not.
Yeah, I don't get the whole skin color thing either. I just don't. What the hell are you talking about?
It's just how much melanin is in your skin.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because of where your ancestors lived on the globe.
Right.
I mean,
yep.
People that live far north are a lot whiter because there was a lot of snow and they didn't need as much melanin. There wasn't as much UV light.
Me, myself, I originate from northern Scotland until I was, or a mother or grandmother of mine was raped by a Viking, which led to a Pict, which led to the modern Scotsman, which is me with a red beard.
Ah, there you go, yeah.
Well, I'm mostly Norwegian with a little English and German.
Yeah. Right, so you're kind of related. Me and you might be related.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah.
Well, I'm one of the short, round Nordic types.
Oh. She's dangerous.
Like those little short, round Norwegian grannies. Damn it.
She's dangerous. She's like a dangerous granny.
Right. Yeah, I know. Canada's a little bit different than the USA, obviously, but and there are still some similarities. And
no, we're very similar to northern United States.
Yeah,
we're not similar to anywhere else in the United States.
Right. Once you get further into Pennsylvania, southern Pennsylvania, southbound, it gets a little bit different. Yeah.
Right. But all of the border
Dixon lines still exist.
Yeah, well,
I would say north of I-80, you're pretty good, but south of I-80, Interstate 80, you're kind of
all
there's
of
a
the
difference.
border states are kind of.
It goes right across Montana.
Yeah, it goes from sea to shining sea, as they say. Yeah.
Sea to shining sea.
But I live north of I-90, so I'm way the hell up here. I'm not that far from. In fact, Yuri lives near Toronto, just outside of Toronto, and we're on about the same parallel, really. Pretty close.
No,
you guys are practically close in the Great White North.
I have more snow than you.
Yeah, you do, probably. Yeah.
Bullshitter, liar.
Yeah, but
I'm sure you guys both have more snow than we get out here because I'm down the north end of the Willamette Valley.
Yeah.
Right on the Columbia River. So we got
Miss Rain, the Rain Queen.
That's liquid sunshine, kiddo.
Yeah.
It is green here for a reason.
That's right.
If you
that's why
like
it's
greenery
so green there,
and trees and temperate weather, you got to put up with that liquid sunshine. That's all
that was not an insult. That was a compliment.
Exactly.
I like the rain.
Hey, the birds do. The animals love it. The farmers love it. Good for crops, good for spring, good for
you can't
a
beat it.
season.
Yeah, it makes the air smell clean after it rains.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, I have a question for you. Do you love or not love the smell of lightning?
I've never had anybody ask me that because I wasn't aware that lightning had a smell.
It does. It's ozone.
I've never had lightning anywhere near enough to me to be able to smell it afterwards.
Yeah, I guess I'm in the
Yeah,
same boat there. I don't think I've had the opportunity
the
myself.
ozone of lightning is an amazing smell. Oh my God.
So you're saying that you've been near, like in touching distance of lightning?
Hey, yes, many times. I used to hold golf clubs up while I was on the highest point on the golf course, trying to get a lightning strike.
No.
I might be historically somehow connected with Benjamin Franklin. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I haven't flown a kite, but yes, lightning strikes excite me.
More like Bill Murray and Caddyshack. Just,
yeah, right.
I've never seen that.
You never seen Caddyshack?
No.
Oh yeah, you got to rent that. That's classic.
I didn't watch hardly any really. I don't know what to call them that won't offend people, so I'm just going to say lowbrow comedy.
Yeah, they are. It's lowbrow. It is.
And I don't watch any horror movies, so anything in that genre, I'm illiterate.
Just Bill Murray's performance is worth renting it just for that. I think more than.
By the way, I have to say the United States has produced an enormous number of outstanding comedians. I would like to highlight Will Ferrell.
Yeah. Yep.
I would like to highlight Dave Chappelle.
There you go.
I would like. There's so many more. I mean, like I'm barely scratching the surface. And some of them are Canadian, but most of them are American.
Right.
So we Canadians don't have a monopoly on comedy or Hollywood, despite public opinion.
Yeah, because Saturday Night Live, a lot of Saturday Night Live people are from Canada.
Yes, we haven't. How can I put it? We have a larger footprint than we deserve.
No, I don't think. Yeah, much talent. There's much talent coming across. Otherwise, I mean, Saturday Night Live wouldn't use those people if they didn't have the talent.
Yeah.
Obviously, got the talent.
Yeah, there's also some good American talent.
Oh, yeah, there's out there. It's out there. Yeah.
In anything to do with showbiz, it's all about who's willing to sit on the casting couch.
I guess, yeah, in some cases, yeah.
I don't think that thing's in use anymore. I think they've pretty much blown that secret right out of the water these days.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, that's mostly ancient history, I guess.
If a director tried that crap on a starlet today, she'd be filming it on her iPhone and turn around and go to the National Enquirer and look what this guy tried to get me to do.
Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, you're saying like Billo, Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
I'm so glad he's finally been cut off at the knees.
Yeah.
I thought that guy was going to have his job till he was dead.
It's amazing that he lasted that long, I got to say. Even though I didn't watch much of the Billo show there, but I was just amazed that he kept going.
Apparently, you don't have a loofah, wink.
Yeah.
Well, my oldest daughter just turned 30 years old this spring, and she doesn't know a world that does not contain Bill O'Reilly and Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity, and that is a crying shame.
It is. The under 40 crowd mostly is just ignorant of the old days.
Are like the worst humans I've
because
come across.
I look back on my youth, and the people that were in the media then were guys like Harry K. Reasoner and Howard K. Smith and Walter Cronkite.
Yep.
People
Harry
that were the most
people that had
people
credibility.
in America because people knew that they would be honest and tell them the truth.
Right.
Or they'd be called on it.
And journalism is a kind of a missing thing nowadays.
Oh, yeah. It's just fake news, as Trump would say.
Yeah, just spew whatever bullshit you want as long as it creates clicks.
alt news, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
It's not even that. It's these people who say that they're part of the news, except that when they have somebody on their program and they're asking them questions, when that person gives them their regurgitated soundbite for the 15th time and doesn't answer the question, not a single one of these people has the wherewithal to say, could you please stop shining me on and just answer the question? If you don't want to answer the question, say, I prefer not to answer. If Meet the Press would take 3 journalists, real reporters like Matt Taibbi and Ian Millhauser and John Fugelsang, and put them on a 3-man panel and put a single politician up against them to answer their questions for an entire hour like they used to do on Meet the Press when I was a kid.
Right.
Wouldn't the world be a better place?
Yeah, it would
sure
be. No question it would be. Yep.
And that was the reason why Meet the Press was respected for so many years. And, it was a place where multiple different attitudes were brought together into one room, and topics were discussed openly without anger.
Yeah, without the nonsense.
And the politician didn't try to evade every single question and give them some memorized soundbite answer to everything like they do today. The interviews with politicians today are shameful.
Yeah,
when you see the reporter ask the question 5 or 6 different times and that person just keeps mumbling some nonsense,
right. Yep.
You think to yourself, how can you sleep at night when you behave like that in public?
You want to know who makes me most angry, and today proved it to me, is Jason Chaffetz. I have despised that man since I ever laid eyes upon him. Today, he announced that he's not running for re-election. He's planning to torpedo. Oh my God, he's like the Grinch. He's
you know what that's code for, don't you?
Oh.
Any politician in the U.S. Congress for Washington, D.C. and the federal government who comes on TV and says, I'm not going to run for office again. I'm going to retire and I want to spend
my family, friends. I need to spend time with my family.
They either had an affair they got caught in, or they have a drug problem, or they have a money problem.
Scandal is about to be exposed.
Because you can't pry those guys out of those seats voluntarily.
Oh,
None
hell
of them
no.
leave.
Are you kidding me?
He is resigning.
Too many perks.
I am leaving politics. I might run for governor in the future. That's what he's saying right now. And I'm looking at him. I'm looking at him and going, wow, the Grinch.
Look at the ones who die in office. Strom Thurmond was like 198 or 101 or something when he finally died in office.
He'd been there forever.
Right.
And Robert Byrd was
since
like
the Civil War for crying out loud.
Something.
Yeah.
All right. So Strom Thurmond.
They don't retire.
I'm sorry.
They do not retire like that because they want to spend time with their family.
I'm sorry.
I'm not buying it.
I would not compare Chaffetz to Strom Thurmond, but I would compare Chaffetz to Trump, which in my opinion is worse.
No, not Trump. I put him in the category with
McCarthy?
Oh, who was that Oregon Republican who was just grabby-handsy all the time, and he got a reputation for being an idiot because of it?
Sorry, name any politician that could be the answer.
Sadly, but I know who you're talking about. I just can't come up with the name.
Mark Hatfield? Is that who I'm thinking of? He was a politician years back, and then he came back for a second go-round, and then he had to resign in disgrace. Because,
Yeah, I can't come up with the guy's name. That doesn't sound familiar, though, but it might have been him. It may have been him, yeah.
By the way, I would like to apologize upon the entire behalf of the male race. We have disgraced ourselves in politics. And
too many times, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Is what it is. Sorry. Can't fix it.
That is a strange and odd thing, isn't it? You have these men who get into these political offices which are full of power and authority. I mean, chock full, right?
Yep.
And they can't keep their pants zipped for a couple years to enjoy that power and authority and do it on the up and up and not be skating around waiting for the other shoe to fall and somebody to find out about their dirty secret. What the heck is that? Isn't power and authority enough?
Right. Imagine that you show up for the first day on the job. You've just been elected by a majority of your constituents. You are elated, happy, go. You are ready to go. They hand you an enormous strap-on dildo, and they ask you to fuck the Secretary of State up the ass. Yeah. What do you do in that scenario?
I'm not really sure that's exactly the scenario that plays out, but okay.
Yeah. It may not exactly, but but the thing is, these guys are like rock stars too. I mean, they're just when you got that kind of power and money.
Plus, you're also on TV every night.
You know what I heard years ago, Wink, is that DC is Hollywood for the people who aren't quite so pretty.
That's it. Exactly right. Yep.
Wow,
exactly right.
Interesting. Jason Chavez fits in that bill pretty good. That guy looks like the Grinch.
No, he looks a little like Beaver Cleaver.
He says he's running for president.
You ever see
Beaver Cleaver was adorable.
No, but the kid who played Eddie Cleaver, right?
I grew up.
Eddie, that's what it was.
I grew up watching that show. Eddie was an asshole. Beaver was adorable.
No, Beaver was okay.
Fucking Chavez to Beaver Cleaver. I will not allow that on my watch.
Do you guys remember Spin and Marty?
Yep. Yeah, sadly I do, yeah.
That's not sadly. That was a good show. That was a good, clean program.
It was a good show. It was a good show. I'm just sad that I remember it. That's all.
Hey,
I don't know.
Because you got to be of a certain age to remember that thing. Okay.
I don't know where you live, but I grew up listening to Captain Kangaroo and Dialing for Dollars on Buffalo TV from Ontario.
Yeah.
Who was that lady who had the magnifying glass that she could see everything through?
That's a SCTV. That's a Canadian comedy show.
No. It was a kid show back during the Captain Kangaroo days.
I don't
It was Captain Kangaroo, and then it was Lammy Chop and something, and there was the chick with the big magnifying glass and the green.
I only have one question. Did she fry ants with her magnifying glass?
No, it wasn't a science show. It was like Captain Kangaroo.
Yeah,
that's what every boy would do
for like 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we all did that. Yeah,
I did that. Yeah. Sorry, I'm
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that myself. Yeah. When you're like 6, 7, 8, that's when you say, "Oh my God, yeah, well, look at this." Yeah.
Morality hadn't even entered the picture in my
not
consciousness at that point.
So I was just thinking the other day, my father-in-law passed away in 1980, and I was watching some program on broadcast television, and I watched a commercial came on. It reminded me of Les for some reason, and then the show came back on, and I was still thinking of him, and I was thinking to myself, I wonder what he would think if he was still alive today and he turned on broadcast television. Because when he passed, that was just when Reagan first got elected, right? Before the Reagan era happened.
Yep.
Okay, so we were still pretty straight-laced country, and there was still...
there was one cable news channel, that was CNN.
There was still the 7 dirty words that you couldn't say on television at that point.
Yep.
Right? And married people that they showed them in scenes where there was a bedroom, there had to be 2 beds.
Yep.
And there had to be a foot on the floor at all times. And
the foot on the floor was because they were...
my lifetime, morally and socially, it's just huge changes.
Yeah, well, the foot on the floor was because they were both hammered drunk, and they put that down to stop the whirlies.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Sorry to remind you.
But it progressed pretty quickly in the 80s. Once the 80s got going, some of that TV progressed.
Well, that's when Ronnie Reagan took over, right?
Yep.
Like Ronnie Reagan took over everything on that.
Raise a Crowd came out in 1982 or 1983.
Oh, Mork and Mindy.
John Ritter, yeah.
Oh, God. I used to love watching that. I'd already graduated from Gilligan's Island and Fantasy Island and Love Boat and Donnie and Marie Show and a bunch of US TV at that point.
A-Team.
Yeah, I was
The
ready
driver.
for America. And then I moved to America when I became like well, not an adult, but legal age. There's a difference between being old enough to vote and being old enough to like ruin your life.
Yeah.
No, there's no age limit on ruining your life. You can do that really early.
Yeah, you can do that early on or later. Yeah.
Ask any pregnant
Yeah,
15-year-old
that's true.
girl, she'll tell you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Ask any
Yeah.
pregnant 15-year-old girl.
Yeah, those were the days.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are the days when the police just emptied our beers out and let us go instead of charging us.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yes.
Yep.
They didn't just do that though, because here in our town, well, I graduated high school in '79, so I was down cruising 79, 80, 81, 82, around in there. They would not just have you pour your beer out. What they would do is we would park downtown in the alleys between buildings, right? And everybody would cruise the 2 lanes up and down. And the police would come around where you had parked, coming behind you, turn on the spotlight, come up to your car, and make you pour out the can of beer that you were holding, and then make you open your trunk and take your case of beer and put it in the trunk of their
They'd
car.
put it in the trunk of their car.
Until you would go home. If
That's
they
a
saw you-
standard
and if-
police
And if
move.
they saw you again that night, they would be calling your parents.
Yeah.
And you would be happy that they took your beer instead of calling your parents.
Exactly.
Or giving you an MIP. It was a huge disaster in someone's life
Yeah.
to get a minor
Yeah.
possession actual
Hey,
ticket.
so by the way, you're slightly older than me, but I would like to tell you this one fact. The rock band Rush grew up very close to me, and they played my high school in 1976.
Whoa.
Cafeteria. They rocked that cafeteria like it's never been rocked before.
I
No
bet.
question. No doubt about that. Hasn't been the same
So
since.
did they play anything that became famous later?
Yes, they did. They were
Really?
trying out their new material for the new album on high school students.
That's cool.
They played a lot of gigs like that, even after they had a couple albums out and stuff. I mean, they would still play those kind of side gigs now and then.
Well, back
My
then,
favorite lyrics from that band are, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
yeah,
there you go. Yep.
from Tom
Yep.
Sawyer album.
Yep. Tom Sawyer.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I know all the albums. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, they were one of the few bands though, that would
just
play a high school or
exposed
college
one
or
of
something
my
back in those days.
dumb things.
Yeah, I'm old enough. My
uncle
first album I
had-
ever bought was ABC by the Jackson 5.
My uncle had a country farm that no one knew about. My favorite song,
There you
Red
go.
Barchetta.
Don't know that one.
That's Red Barchetta from Moving Pictures.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can't do it justice.
I was more
Good album.
Dark Side of the Moon and
Oh, me too.
Your Way to
Pink Floyd.
Heaven
I was
and
huge Floyd fan.
Yep.
Aqualung
Yeah, hard not to be.
and
Yes, also Aqualung, also Genesis, first Genesis, early Genesis.
Early Genesis. Yep.
Peter Gabriel Genesis.
Yep. Absolutely.
But the flip side of that is I grew up in a household where my mom's whole family was in a local orchestra and a band, and my dad's whole family were musicians, played fiddles, won the Weezer Idaho contest back in the 50s.
Oh.
So while out with my friends, I'm listening to all that rock and roll, but I grew up listening to Charlie Pride and George Jones and Patsy Cline. So
Yep.
I kind of
So
have two
what was
sides.
the first music that made you dance like a whore?
Yeah, like that. Like
Sorry
get
to
your
phrase
skirt
it
up there,
that
kind of
way,
whatever.
but what was the first music that actually like set your ass a wiggling?
I didn't know, because when we were kids, when we were little kids, like when I was maybe 7, 8, 9 years old. And
No,
my
I'm
sister-
talking
and
15.
3
I'm
younger
talking
sisters, all 2
15.
years younger than me, and we would turn the music on and dance on the floor in our stocking feet on the wooden floor, right, and swirl around and spin around. So
I'm
we
just
were
trying,
dancing
I'm
maniacs
trying to
from
figure
there.
out what the
And that was all
influences.
country music.
Right.
So, of course, Elvis sort of brought black music to white people, and
No doubt. Yeah.
there were several black musicians that endured through that period, despite
Probably
Elvis.
Boston.
Bachman Turner Overdrive?
Boston.
Oh,
More Than a
Boston.
Boston, yeah.
Feeling.
More Than a Feeling?
Yep.
Yeah. The first
all the
album I ever bought.
the
First
the
album.
traveling road music.
That was the first album I ever bought.
Yeah, I just recorded.
Saved up my allowance from my parents, and I bought a Boston album, and it was Boston the original.
There you go. Yep.
The one with the nuclear explosion on the top on the
spaceship on the cover about to invade America or whatever. Yeah. It was actually gloriously accepted by the inhabitants as opposed to feared.
Right.
More Than a Feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I just recorded a long time tonight just for filler music for this show, actually. I just said, well, let me get so I did Long Time. The song Long Time, and but I'd play it, but you can't hear it on Skype, so
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, that's some good music.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom Petty. Yeah. Love that man. Yeah. And by the way, according to most of the women that I've known over the years, they claim that I look a lot like Tom Petty.
There you go.
Well, lucky you.
No, not really, because he's not known for his good looks. He's known for his, chops. Well, I mean, that's in the eye of the beholder, I guess, right?
I guess it is.
Yeah, Petty's a great dude. He's just one of those good guys of rock and roll.
Musician.
Yeah.
Traveling Wilburys was better though.
Yeah, they were great.
Because that had Tom Petty and
George Harrison.
5 octave. I can't remember his name all of a sudden.
What do you think of Neil Young?
The guy with 5 octaves. Roy Orbison.
Yeah,
Roy
Orbison.
Oh my
George
goodness.
Harrison.
Yeah.
Was one of the Beatles in there?
Just George Harrison, I think.
No, that was George Harrison. That's right.
Yeah.
How about?
There's 5 of them. Who are the other ones?
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
How about,
I think it was.
Wait, how about Harry Nilsson?
There you go. Another one.
Do you know who that is? He was the 5th
Cat
Beatle.
to the Cradle. Harry Chapin?
No, Harry Nilsson. So here's some of the songs. Here's some of the songs. I'll just do a brief rendition. You'll get them right away.
Is that like Heart of Gold? No.
So probably his most famous solo song was I Put the Lime in the Coconut. Work it up right.
Oh, no. He's one of those guys.
How about, have you ever seen a moonbeam?
He was more of a session guy. He just played with a lot of different people.
Yes, he refused to play in public. He refused to play live concerts. But he was John Lennon's best friend. And him and John Lennon got like absolutely trashed and had a total blast, like destroying places all over.
Sounds a little like Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, a little bit like that, yeah. Weird Al's pretty cool, I have to say. I appreciate that, man.
Hard to do the stuff he does. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And another man that I appreciate a lot is Sacha Baron Cohen. His, ability to recognize irony in life is unparalleled.
I haven't seen anything that guy's been in for the same reason I never watched Adam Sandler movies.
No, they're not comparable.
It's that.
No,
that
Adam
Sandler.
Kind of no, you're wrong. You're wrong. Adam Sandler is lowbrow.
Yeah,
and Sacha Baron Cohen is so highbrow that most people don't even get it.
Right, a little bit over
I
the top.
tried to watch one of his films, and it just didn't.
Well, his films are kind of blunt and in your face and offensive, and that's the way they're designed. But he creates situations that are, oh my God, you'll never forget that. So my favorite scene that Sacha Baron Cohen ever created was the Ultimate Fight Championship scene in Texarkana. So he goes to an Ultimate Fight Championship cage match in Texarkana. There's like 1,000 people in the audience. And he's billed himself as the headline act for the evening. He's Straight Dave. And Straight Dave hates gays. And he's here because he's straight and he's not a homosexual. And he speaks with an Eastern European accent. And he's up there, spouting all kinds of bullshit, and the crowd loves it. The crowd's like totally into it. And then he's got a plant in the audience, and the plant calls him out and says, "You're gay." And next thing you know, the crowd's like sort of ready to turn on Straight Dave, but sort of not ready. A lot of them are wearing Straight Dave t-shirts, and then it just goes insane from there. So the two of them, he invites that guy up onto the stage and invites him to a cage match. So he's got some random guy from the audience that he's fighting in a cage match, and the two of them just start smashing each other's heads off the walls. There's blood and there's guts.
Is this a movie?
Yeah, that's the Bruno movie.
A little different, yeah.
And anyway, in real life, Straight Dave, nobody in the audience knows that this is like a movie. They just think this is reality. And so he's got 1,000 rednecks surrounding this cage. And he thought the cage was pretty secure, as in nobody could possibly jump in there and violate him. And then they do this scene where he pins his opponent against the wall of the cage. He's holding both of the guy's hands back against the wall. Then he leans in and the two of them start French kissing. And then they start undressing each other. And next thing you know, they're pretending to do ass licking and all that stuff. And the crowd is horrified. And they're not just horrified. There are some members of the crowd.
Just listening to it.
There are some members of the crowd that want to kill him. And in particular, there's like a 6'9" mixed martial arts fighter that was passed over for being on the bill that night. That's really angry because his pocketbook is being hurt by this asshole. And he wants to. And this guy runs up to the cage and he scales the cage and he leapfrogs himself over the top, lands onto the floor of the octagon, and at that moment Sacha Baron Cohen opens up the escape chute in the middle of the octagon. They'd previously planned this, and he jumps down the escape hatch and sneaks out this defended corridor out to a waiting van that's already running with a driver, jumps into the van and drives away, never to be seen again.
I still like Abbott and Costello movies.
Yeah, but it actually happened. By the way, that's live on film. If you're willing to stomach all of the crazy gay stuff in the movie Bruno, wait for that scene and then just enjoy that scene because it's amazing.
I've had many opportunities to see the film Bruno. I doubt that I would ever accept that mission should it be presented to me.
There you go.
Hey, by the way,
I enjoyed the comedies like the triple play that who's the guy who plays Scotty on the new Star Trek movies now? What's his name?
The new ones? I don't know.
The new Star Trek films. He plays Montgomery Scott. Okay, so he did the zombie movie, then he did Hot Fuzz, and then he did End of the World. Simon Pegg. That comedy? What was the first one? The first one was it's a comedy zombie movie. Holy smokes, it's on my stupid DVR. I have to look it up now because otherwise it'll make me crazy not remembering what the stupid movie's called. Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, it's
so
great,
they made the series, the movie.
Yeah,
Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and End of the World.
Okay.
All kind of English highbrow comedy kind
That's
of,
funny
right?
now, yeah. I've only seen
dry,
Shaun of the Dead, but
it's
that's
dry with
classic.
That's my idea of a good
it's awesome.
comedy.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the top,
Well,
top 10
I
of that
mean,
genre, easily.
I'm just saying it's not for everyone, but for those that are willing to be shocked, it's the most amazing shock you'll ever see because you'll watch it and you go, "Oh my God!"
Well,
those
it's not
people
that I
are
don't
serious.
appreciate good camp either, because for a very long time I used to specifically scan the upcoming movies on my movie channels looking for old bad B movies.
There you
Because
go.
a bad B movie is a great film.
Yeah.
Like, what's it for instance? Let's see.
There's a bunch of them out there, but you just can't remember the names of them because they're just kind of nameless, essentially. But there's a lot of B movies out there that are pretty good. But Shaun of the Dead,
like the
I'm
movie
ready
that
to
you
see
never
that
watched
again.
twice.
Movie
right?
with Rowdy Roddy Piper, where he plays like a guy that puts on sunglasses
the
and see
Apocalypse.
aliens.
The Frog movie, right?
No, it's not a silent movie. It's from the 70s. Rowdy Roddy Piper was a WWE wrestler.
Yeah, he was here in Portland, Oregon. I used to go over and watch him at the Armory when I was a kid.
By the way, he's the best.
They went to wrestling Saturday and Tuesdays.
He was the best Canadian wrestler that Canada ever produced, in my opinion.
There you go.
Yeah, those were the days of Lonnie Main and Bull. What was his name? He was a Native American guy. He was huge.
Yeah, and even
something.
Andre the Giant was still active and alive at that point.
Yeah, Andre the Giant.
Randy
Savage.
What was the hairy, crazy psycho guy?
With the white hair?
Yeah, the old guy
Lonnie Main.
with the hairy back.
I don't know about a hairy back, but the guy with the big mane of white hair, that was Lonnie Main.
No, this guy was like not attractive in the least. He was the opposite of attractive. He was like scary psycho dude with hair on his back.
Back in the day, none of those wrestlers were attractive. It's not like modern WWE wrestling with all big, pectorals and pumped up arms and tattoos.
Hey, by the way,
No.
Linda McMahon is a cabinet member currently.
I know it. She couldn't get elected, but she got appointed to something.
Right. Her and Betsy DeVos.
Yeah. I swear, I wake up sometimes and I think that none of this is real.
Yeah. I wish I could.
That election hasn't happened yet. He's not president. I swear, it happens once in a while. I wake up and before my brain really gets
the
going.
truth is, we do actually live in this shithole that we observe.
It's amazing, really. Yeah, it is. I never would have thought I'd have seen this in my lifetime, I can tell you that.
You know what I can't understand is how can so many of the people in my country be so ignorant and foolish as to have allowed that idiot to occupy the Oval Office? I don't care how much they disliked Hillary Clinton. I know that's why she didn't get elected. The media spent 30 years,
Yeah, she had 30 years of attack ads on her.
She had 30 years worth of crappy, public, scurrilous, scandalous talk about her, right? The Democrats should have never, ever asked. They should have asked her not to run. They should have the first time. And she said, we know you really want that job, and you'd be really good at it. But you know what?
There's no way in hell you can win it.
It's not going to work, right? No. But I don't care. I don't care how much people disliked her and Bill, because they got all that money after he got out of office. How could they let this worthless, unprepared, ill-suited grifter in the White House?
Yep,
Look at the junk that's going on. He won't show people his tax returns. And meanwhile, you know what really concerns me is that James Comey was willing the week before the election to get on TV and talk about some other stupid emails in somebody else's computer, knowing they had been investigating the Trump campaign for possible collusion with Russian hackers since July. What the hell is up with that?
That was a direct assault on Hillary, no question about it. You know, the FBI assault. They just obviously the FBI didn't want her in there.
How did our government not come to a screeching halt and everybody jumped up and started jumping on chairs and throwing books around in the Capitol building when Comey did that? I mean, it was the most atrocious violation of the public weal by an official of the federal government in my entire lifetime.
We don't have any politicians with a backbone. That's why nobody will dare get up and say that. You know, because number one, they wouldn't get reelected. And it's all about getting reelected in Washington.
Harry Reid was still in office then. He wasn't running again.
Yep, Harry should have said something. I agree.
He was still in office, and he knew about it. And the former president knew about it, too. And he let Mitch McConnell back him in a corner and say, if you tell the public about this investigation of Trump, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make it all about partisan, how you're trying to make sure that Hillary wins.
Right.
If he had any stones, he would have told Mitch to take a short walk off a long walk off.
You're right. You're exactly
and
right.
went on television and told people that one of the
not a politician in Washington
was under investigation by the FBI for collusion with the Russians, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, it's sad. It is sad, no question about it. And you know that's why we get these troubles we're in, really, because none of these politicians have a backbone to stand up and say, "Wait a second, that sounds like a bunch of nonsense." No, we're not going to kill the ACA. That's a bunch of nonsense too. You know, stand up. None of these Democrats stand up. None of these very few Democrats even backed Obama when he was in, for crying out loud. I mean, you know, he had to do all that.
That's why we lost so many seats in 2010, because they put all that effort into that bill. They got it passed, and then then the people on our side of the aisle, when they ran for office again in 2010, didn't want to talk about it, didn't want him to come out and campaign with them.
Right. They wouldn't
back
it up.
And they lost because they looked like craven cowards.
Yep, they did. And if they'd have backed it up, they would have got reelected. That's what they don't realize. If they had showed some backbone, they would have got reelected. And we have the same problem today. None of them show any backbone.
And a lot of people in the mainstream of the party still don't understand why Bernie Sanders almost got the nomination of the party.
Right.
Because for all of his faults, all the things missteps that he's made, he never
at least stood up there and said, "This is the way it is."
Unwilling to stand up and speak truth to power and tell people the real truth about things.
You may not like it, but here it is.
All right. So I don't want to try to promote Bernie, although he was my candidate in the last election. There clearly needs to be some reconciliation between the Clinton camp and the Bernie camp. And unfortunately, Daily Kos has been spewing lots of diaries forth that, are against that ideal.
Yep.
In my opinion, I think Clinton was taken down because she was a threat to the, how can I put it, deep government.
Yep.
She was a threat to the FBI, the CIA, the NIA.
She knew all the secrets. She knew where all the bodies were buried.
She knew too many secrets.
Yep.
And they didn't want her involved. And so they were more than willing to assist in taking her down.
Right.
Yeah,
I think so. I think he's right.
Good,
I think Yuri's right on that. I think they just said, no, we're not going to have her elected. That's it. Whatever it takes, even if we have to,
That's
come out here 10 days
It was
before.
30 years of bad press that people watched.
Yep, that was a lot of it too.
No, there's that too. Yeah,
there's a lot of factors.
I was running for office during that session, right?
I remember that.
I talked to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people myself. And I'm telling you, the reason that she didn't win, have you looked at the participation rates in our elections?
Mm-hmm.
Since 1916 alone, the United States has never had a participation rate in any election, including presidential cycles, above 64-point-something%.
Right.
So about 35% of our people never vote in the entire last 100 years.
And won't. You'll be lucky to get them to the polls.
Right. And 25 years ago, the Democrats and the Republicans were about matched at about 35%, and the independents were about 20%.
Yep.
On the average, kind of, right?
Right.
Today, the Democrats and Republicans are about 26, 28%, maybe closer to 30%, but the independents are 40%.
Yep.
Hillary's bad press for 30 years and the distancing of far too many tens of millions of people from the Democratic Party who have self-identified themselves as independents were not willing to cross back over that aisle and vote for her.
Right.
That's exactly what it was. It was not any
no doubt about it.
Subterfuge by the intelligence agencies or anybody.
No, come on. So,
I don't even really believe that the Russians had an influence on the electorate, because it doesn't matter if they did or not. The bad thing there was that they tried. But for Hillary Clinton, it was
what do you
30
think?
years of bad press, dude. That's what it was.
That's a huge part of it. I don't disagree with that. However, the tipping point, in my opinion, was Director Comey reinitiating the email investigation on Hillary like 2 days or a week before the election.
It was like 9 days. Yeah, 9 days before. Yep.
Right, and I know why you say that.
Yeah.
I know why you say that, because the 6 weeks of polling leading up to the election tell us that she should have been pile driving him on election day, and that 9 days before the election, that news came out and didn't have time to register in the polls yet.
Let me give you an alternative scenario. All right.
Those polls were so good for her all that long time because we were coming down to the stretch, and people were getting called by pollsters, and they were not willing to tell him they were voting for that scumbag Trump, who was Mr. Grabber.
Right.
Yep. They weren't willing to admit that they were going to vote for that guy. I know people personally who would never have said that on a poll and don't even like to admit it now that they voted for Trump, but they did.
Doesn't it make Thanksgiving hard?
Yes, it does, with all the relatives coming over, yeah.
But my
there was
family
no
dinners
way.
are on my side of the aisle.
Like I say, somebody should have told Hillary, though, that, hey, it'd be nice if you're president, but it's not going to happen. You have too many people against you in this thing, and it's just not going to work out. Which, it's amazing she got as many votes as she did, I thought. I didn't think she would do that well. But
I thought Bernie was going to beat her out for the primary.
Yeah, for the nomination.
I was convinced that California was going to put him over the top.
Well, that kind of tells you right there that she wasn't the strongest candidate, because Bernie, that came out of nowhere. This old guy out of nowhere almost beat her. That's the kind of thing that gets your attention.
Here's the thing about Bernie. I mean, yes, he has been an independent most of his career, but he's always been sort of too far left of the Democrats to be a Democrat. And it's not like he didn't want to join the Democrats. He was angry that the Democrats were not far left enough.
Right. Yep.
So everybody that claims that he's not a Democrat, it's complete BS. He did that out of protest because they were not far enough left for him.
Right. Right.
And I've been following.
He's a Democratic socialist.
I've been following him for 30 plus years, and he's impressed me throughout all of those years in the sense that he sticks to his principles. Now, does he appeal to Does he appeal to white females or young people? He appealed to young people really well in this last election cycle because he offered the promise of free education. And he never appealed well to either black communities or, frankly, well-off middle-class women, because he wasn't really offering them anything.
Right.
What he was offering, if anything, would take away from their lot. And that's where you have the Hillary-Bernie split. Yeah. And it starts with well-off, middle-aged females. That's the split.
It's crazy. It's kind of insane, but yep. We got to get out of here, though.
That's my assessment. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's all right. Much appreciate the call in tonight. So it's great to have everybody call in. We'll do it again, everybody. Sunday night, same bad time. So with that, we'll get out of here, and we're out.